All right, today we're doing something really cool. We're going to go on a hunt for humanity's very first guided meditations. I'm talking about the original user manuals for the mind, written thousands of years ago. So, where do you even start with something like that?
So, if you've ever tried to meditate, you've probably run into this exact question. Do you go with one of those apps that tells you to just, gently watch your breath? Or maybe you've heard about something like transcendental meditation, where the whole practice is repeating a special sound, a mantra, over and over. They feel like they're from different planets, right? And, well, it turns out they pretty much are.
And this really breaks down that split for us. On the one hand, you've got mantra meditation. The whole point there is to use a single sound to go beyond thinking altogether, to kind of transcend your everyday mind and hit this state of pure consciousness. It's all about absorption. But then, on the other hand, you have mindfulness, and that's all about investigation. You're not trying to get away from your thoughts and feelings. You're supposed to look right at them as they happen. It's observational. So the big question is, where did this fork in the road even come from? Okay, to figure that out, we have to go back, way back. Let's follow that first stream, the mantra path, all the way to its source, right at the dawn of when people first started writing this stuff down. And check this out. This timeline shows a really pivotal moment in human history. Around the first millennium BCE, something incredible happens. Across India, China, you see this sudden explosion of inner exploration. We go from these, vague stories about mystics to the very first written instructions for how to train your mind. It's almost like humanity collectively woke up and said, hey, maybe we should write the user manual for this thing.
And boom, here it is. This line from the Chandogya Upanishad is one of the oldest, clearest, most explicit instructions to meditate that we've ever found. And the key thing here is it's not just telling people to chant. The instruction is to meditate on the syllable Om, to feel it as the cosmic hum of all existence. This was a huge deal. It was a massive shift from doing rituals on the outside to experiencing something profound on the inside.
So the ultimate goal here was something they called yoga, which really just means union. The whole idea was to help you realize that your little individual self, your Atman, was actually the same thing as the giant universal cosmic consciousness, which they called Brahman. And the method? You use sound as a vehicle to merge into a state beyond thought. And if that sounds familiar, it should. This is the direct ancestor of modern practices like TM. Okay, so for a few centuries, that's the main game in town. It's all about sacred sounds and merging with the absolute. But then, a new teacher shows up with a totally, radically different idea. And this, right here, is the Buddha's revolution. It's the beginning of a second stream that's going to completely change the game. Just listen to the language here. I mean, compare this to meditate on Om. It's night and day. The Buddha's instruction here is so procedural. It's like a training manual. He literally says he trains thus, and then gives you a super specific, hands-on task. Experience the body breathing in, notice it calming as you breathe out. It's not about merging with some cosmic sound. It's about paying super close attention to what's actually happening, right here, right now. And this slide just nails the core of his innovation. He completely shifted the focus. Instead of trying to merge with some big eternal substance, he said, no, look at the constantly changing process. Watch how your thoughts and feelings just come and go. Instead of locking on to one single object like a mantra, he opened it up to observing your entire experience. And maybe most importantly, the goal wasn't some kind of salvation by uniting with God. It was about achieving freedom through insight, by actually understanding how your own mind works. So yeah, the next time you fire up a mindfulness app on your phone or you hear about a program like MBSR, just know, you are tapping directly into a lineage that's over 2,000 years old. All these modern tools, they're the direct descendants of the Buddha's incredibly systematic, analytical approach to the mind. Okay, so there you have it. Two ancient streams, each starting from a different place and heading to a different destination. Let's really put them head to head so we can see this fundamental split, the quest to transcend versus the path to investigate. This chart just lays it all out so clearly. Look at the focus. Mantra practice, it's all about a single, unchanging sound. Mindfulness, it's about watching all the messy, constantly changing stuff, your breath, your sensations. What about the goal? With mantra, you're trying to get beyond thought. With mindfulness, you're trying to examine thought. See the difference? One method is pure absorption, what's called samadhi. The other is about clarity and investigation, vipassana. And the end result? One leads to union with the absolute. The other leads to insight into how things really are. So for a long, long time, this was the choice: transcend or investigate. It seemed like you had to pick a side. But what if you don't have to choose? What happens when these two ancient, powerful streams actually meet? This is where things get really interesting. And, it turns out this idea of combining them isn't totally new. Some traditions, like Tibetan Buddhism, have been doing this for ages. They see them as complementary tools in a toolkit. Think about it. They might use a mantra to get the mind super calm and focused. That's the samadhi part. And then they use that stable, quiet mind as the perfect platform for sharp, clear-eyed investigation. It's like one practice quiets the water so the other can see all the way to the bottom. But we don't have to dig through ancient history to see this in action. There's a really powerful modern example that comes from the Nichiren Shu school of Buddhism. They've developed a specific structured practice that intentionally and beautifully weaves these two streams together. And here's how they do it. This practice, called Shodai-gyo, has 3 parts. First, you start with silent mindfulness. You're just observing your body and mind. That's the investigation path. Then, part 2, you chant their central mantra, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, to build up this deep, unified focus. That's the absorption or transcendence path. But here's the brilliant part, the 3rd step. You go back to silent mindfulness. Only now you're using that incredible calm and energy you just built up from chanting to see your mind with so much more clarity. It's not one or the other. It's a feedback loop where each part makes the next one stronger. So think about the journey we just took. We started with the ancient path of sacred sound. Then we saw the Buddha's revolution of mindful observation. And we've ended up with a modern practice that takes both of those streams and braids them together into one powerful whole. Which kind of leaves us with this one big question, right? For centuries, it's been presented as a choice, path A or path B. But maybe the future of these ancient practices isn't about choosing between them at all. Maybe it's about getting really smart about how we weave them together. So, what if the future of meditation isn't separation, but integration?